choose every moment. I need you to choose every single moment of your life. You see, it is in every moment we have an opportunity to cast a vote for who we ought to be, who we ought to become. It is in every single moment that we can either choose to align with our higher self, who we came here to be, or with our lower self, with comfort. It is on a moment-by-moment basis that we can really learn to change ourselves. I'm going to be honest, changing yourself is very, very fucking difficult. It is one of the most difficult endeavors that you will embark on. But it is one of the most worthwhile endeavors to pursue as well. Because the rewards that you reap, you will feel in every single moment. You know, if you want to really improve yourself the fastest, then you need to be constantly asking yourself, how can I show up in this moment? And there's a few ways you can say this. One of my favorite ways to say this for myself is, how can I show my appreciation for my life in this moment? Oh, that's something different there, right? You're showing your appreciation through your actions, through how you even choose to perceive reality. You see, when you have, forms of adversity, self-inflicted adversity, or adversity inflicted upon you from outside sources, you have a choice now to control how you interpret it. Now, maybe at first you won't have that control, but then you can reel your perspective back in and redecide how you will perceive that. We can rewrite the stories that we have unconsciously written for ourselves, right? And this comes on a moment-by-moment basis. When you wake up in the morning, and it's uncomfortable, maybe you didn't get enough sleep, how are you going to choose to respect your life? It is in that moment, when it sucks to show up, that's when it counts. That's when it counts the most. And then in the next moment, when you're doing that difficult workout throughout the day, how do you speak to yourself? How do you perceive reality? How do you choose to perceive it? How are you going to show up in that moment? Because we can choose to show up with gratitude in each individual moment of our lives. But that is a choice we have to make. And it could be, for a lot of us, a very difficult choice to make. It comes from a very, very selfish perspective a lot of the times, to be able to actually be grateful for what you do. But a lot of times, it requires the surrendering of your perspective and realizing, how good you have it relative to others. One of the best ways to make you grateful for something is to go through a lot of suffering and then go through a lot of have-nots, right? Some of the most humble people are formed this way, where these individuals will have gone through a very difficult life, and then just, having normal lives, like most people with like normal problems, they're grateful for those problems, because there's always a bigger problem that you could have to put your life in perspective. Have you ever noticed that? Another thing too is that there is always someone else on the planet with the exact same problem you have, and they're thriving, and also they're seeing it as an opportunity, and also they're just seeing it as, something that they just have to accept. It's all perspective. This whole thing of life is a perspective game. And it sucks because there is some really tough pills to swallow sometimes. I'm not saying this is easy. And I'm not saying I even have the strength to embody what, to accept what you're going through. But, sorry about that. Where was I? So, there's always another perspective that you can embody to make your life seem easier, or to make your load seem more carryable, more bearable, right? And there's always a choice of how you show up in every moment, and if you're finding it hard to show up in the moment that you're in, consider embodying a different perspective that will empower you. Don't see the problem, see the opportunity for something that will strengthen your character, right? Don't just see it as work, see it as something that is working on yourself, right? So when you are going through those problems throughout the day, and when you are approaching those difficult tasks, see it as opportunities of your own personal self-mastery, your own personal growth. One way to, and that I like to ask, one question I like to ask myself is, how will I show up for myself today? And that's something that has to be asked in every moment. And if you can ask yourself this kind of question, how am I going to show up? Who is showing up right now? If you can ask yourself that question every moment, you will give yourself the opportunity for your higher self to show up more and more. But it starts with moment by moment, because what you choose to do in your direct experience is all that matters. Because life is made out of nothing but direct experience. So with that, I would like to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.